Oh, hello there. So today I'm going to be introducing you to Guy versus the Wicked and Nefarious Land. What the hell is going on actually with these long titles that have to do with the guy? Last we had I Want to Be the Guy Gaiden, and now this. It makes it hard to do a YouTube video title, doesn't it? Anyway, the game. It's primarily an action game with a lot of RPG elements thrown in. The first thing I'm going to talk about, or rather mention briefly, is the story. The story is cheesy, and so is the dialogue. There is a metric ton of terrible humor in the game. This includes a whole bunch of references to all kinds of things, as well as occasional nukes to your fourth wall. Somehow, I don't mind either of those things that much, but it may bother you, so just be warned. The game controls pretty well once you start up and get used to it. There are a few different options to choose from when you start up the game, but I'm thinking the basic keyboard for movement and mouse for attacking is probably the best, and that's what I've been playing with. Speaking of attacking, I'm not really sure where I stand when it comes to the game's combat. While it can be pretty fluid, the simple fact that attacking makes you stop moving completely hurts it a little. It doesn't feel as fluid as it could be. As well, there seems to be some levels, at least towards the beginning, just filled with weaker mobs that seem just pointless to kill. I don't want all this criticism to get to your head and make you think that I hated the game. It's actually something that I've really been enjoying. I really liked how polished it is. It looks good and it sounds good. The menus are clear and accessible. It's easy to buy gear and new skills, and the whole thing is really intuitive. There are a couple shops that you can get opened up early on. One by someone you rescue and another by some royal guy. I'm not quite sure. The story in this way feels like a story that's just been shaped to be whatever the gameplay needs it to be. And honestly, while that might sound bad on the surface for some reason, it's actually way better than the other way around. Gameplay should obviously come first before story in a game. Not so in a movie, not so in a book, but yes, in a game. To be clear, the story is just that you have to purge the land for the hand of the king's daughter. Anyway, the gameplay isn't just combat. There's some basic puzzles to be solved occasionally. These puzzles aren't too difficult, at least they are not difficult enough for me to get annoyed, so it's all fine by me. And if I'm not getting annoyed by them, you won't either, because I am not the best at puzzles, to say the least. Anyway, some of the puzzles actually just have to do with memorizing and guessing a combination of tapping skulls, and those ones just are kind of pointless and have no actual real puzzle element to them, so they don't have a huge place in the game, and they're a small issue, but because they're far in between, they are not a huge deal in the long run at all. Anyway, as to the game's difficulty, I'd call it a decent challenge. In larger combat sections, you have to watch out for all the enemies, as well as hidden traps on the ground. So far I've seen arrow traps that will be sprung, as well as spike traps that will kill you in one hit. This results in chaos if you don't have control over the situation and if you don't pay attention to everything. As more enemies and more environmental hazards are introduced to the game, the before decent combat gets a lot better. Just a couple last quickfire points to get you a good idea of what the game is now. 1. The levels, as far as I can tell, are entirely linear. 2. In terms of scenery, the game's all about dark dungeons. There isn't much else above ground that you have to do, but that's just a matter of personal preference, I think, so just keep it in mind before you purchase the game. 3. While I have not completed this game, I'd guess the whole thing will probably be 5 hours or so, maybe 6, depending on if you're as bad as I am. 4. There are achievements available if you're into that sort of thing. Anyway, overall, I think this game has a reasonable, challenging combat system, as well as a hilariously awful dialogue. But if that doesn't bug you too much, it's a polished game and a good experience. The game's regular price is $4, and at that price point, I'm gonna say I recommend you get it if you've liked what you've seen and you're intrigued. I think you'll be able to tell if you like this game just by watching the footage. I think it's a game like that because I do not think this game will disappoint you. Guy vs. the Wicked and Nefarious Land is currently on sale for 33% off, and you can purchase it through Desura. I'll post a link below. If you would like to see more content like this in the future, please subscribe and let me know. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I will see you next time.